Welcome, luxury enthusiasts, to the Luxury Travelers Podcast, hosted by Rodney George. The ultimate passport to opulent destinations, extravagant experiences, and unparalleled indulgence. Whether one is a seasoned jet setter or daydreaming of the next lavish getaway, the Luxury Travelers Podcast has it all covered. So buckle up and prepare for a journey into the lap of luxury. Now, your host.
Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time it is when you're finally getting around to opening up this episode of the Luxury Travelers Podcast. We have Ellen McIlvaine with us today, who's Vice President of the Americas for Ponant Exploration Travel and the Paul Gauguin, for those of you who've never been to the Society Islands, Paul Gauguin Cruises. Ellen, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks, Rodney. It is a joy to be here. Thank you for the invitation.
Where are you in the world today?
I am in Portland, Oregon.
Okay,
Yeah,
so, well,
coming
thanks
to
for getting up so early.
I'm usually up by noon. Yeah.
Well, I had the director of expeditions for Signature on the other day,
Oh, Carl.
Carl, and he was talking. One of the things he mentioned was your new ship, and we're going to get around to that eventually. But the Arctic and the Antarctic are kind of places that most folks haven't been yet. And so it's easy when people come in and they say, well, we've been everywhere and we've done everything. What else is there? Well, I've got a couple of places you probably haven't been. And just in case you've been there before, I've got a new advanced way for you to go deeper than you've ever been before. So with the Arctic and the Antarctic bucket list destinations, what is the real key that you guys are offering? And the biggest first impression, new thing that you have to offer.
Yeah. So, I think that's certainly the lead, right? It's Le Commandant Charcot is our vessel that is really unlike anything else in the world. So, a few years ago, Ponant launched this vessel. It's an icebreaker-class. And I think a lot of people, they hear icebreaker and it can be a bit confusing. Either shouldn't we not be breaking ice? From an environmental perspective, it can be a bit confusing, or they just think that sounds rugged and maybe not for me to go all the way so far. And both are misconceptions. So Le Commandant Charcot is, first off, it's rated super clean for the environment. So it's fueled by electricity and liquefied natural gas. So that on its own was an innovation. And an icebreaker just is in terms of how strong the hull of the ship is, how far can it go into sea ice. And sea ice of course, covers a lot of the Arctic Ocean. It's breaking apart and coming back together. It's really alive, and it freezes and thaws every year. But it's not something you want to venture into unless you know for sure you can get through it. And Le Commandant Charcot is the first vessel in the world designed to have guests on board that can safely take you to these places. So, including the geographic North Pole. It has never been safer or more comfortable to go to these places. And if somebody's listening and thinking, okay, well, I went to Antarctica and I've been to the Arctic, you probably have not gone to the North Pole, and it is like another planet. It's so amazing. And the journey through the ice to get there is something only the Charcot can do.
So the experience that most people that take you to the Arctic in particular, how far away from the true North Pole are they at their peak of, delving into that region of the world? I mean, they don't come close, do they?
Well, some will get to the Arctic Circle. And most expedition companies, when we're talking about the Arctic, we're talking about Greenland or Svalbard or Arctic Canada. And all of these places are so amazing to visit. So if you will not be disappointed. But they are not true 90 degrees north. When you get up past, and so let's take Svalbard as an example. Anybody who is familiar with expedition cruising, maybe you've heard about it. It's an archipelago that has one of the northernmost communities in it in the world. And you'll board a ship there and you'll go explore, and you often see polar bears and icebergs and reindeer and all, walruses. It's such a cool trip. And on that trip, at the northernmost day, you might get up to where the ice starts and you can see the edge of the ice. And you think, whoa, we're at the edge here. Um, and then you turn back around and go back to do more exploring. That day where you get to the edge of the ice, that's where the Charcot gets started. And that's the beginning of our trip. And we go into the ice, and and it's not, you think, okay, well then you're in the ice. There's so much going on. The ice is where the polar bears live. So if you really want to see polar bears, you need to go somewhere with ice. And we've had such amazing experiences viewing wildlife, but also, all kinds of seals. There is so much happening in the ice, and it's so beautiful. There's all these different types of ice that we get to see. So it is super interesting. Um, and the ship that we use, the Commandant Charcot, it's, as I mentioned, it's electric, so it's really quiet. So if we are somewhere and we spot a polar bear, we're shifted into electric mode. The ship does not make a sound. You don't hear, all you hear is the shutters of people's cameras taking pictures. You don't hear anything, and the animals don't hear anything either, so they're not disturbed. So it's an absolutely, it is true exploration. It's beyond an expedition cruise. It is true exploration. It's a new kind of travel. It really is a new kind of travel that we haven't done before. And as I said, like, it's never been safer. It's a wild time, I think, in expedition cruising for us who get to work and travel, and for people who love to travel. It's the sort of new chapter where we have access to these places that are so hard to reach, and we can do it comfortably. We can even do it in luxury. We can do it in a very safe way. Um, and with that comes a big responsibility, of course, to travel responsibly. And Ponant takes that very seriously too. So all the pieces are there for, it's not a vacation. I wouldn't even say it's an expedition. It's true exploration. It's unlike anything else.
I think the word bragging rights should be in there somewhere too. uh,
Yeah.
our clients here in Southwest Florida are really into bragging rights, whether it's golf or whether it's taking a gas-filled balloon to the edge of space, or whether it's cracking through the ice and getting to the true 90 degrees or true north, as I believe some people used to call it.
Yeah.
So luxury travel is evolving into a sense of really exclusivity.
Yeah.
Particularly in your case, how does the experience on board the Charcot different from the thrill? So you got luxury and a thrill all rolled into one here, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, as I said, it's a new kind of travel. So of course, a lot of the luxury travel has always kind of been about exploration and trying new things. And part of the exclusivity is part of the luxury, right? Like, this is so special because not everybody can do it.
Mm-hmm.
And that is true in the case of polar exploration, of course, as well. So when you have this, and it's, we're not trying to purposely limit, only a few people can go, but and to be responsible environmentally, you can't take everybody. And the ship only has 130 rooms, so we really can't take everybody. But there's something for everybody. So if you don't want to, consider yourself, you know, akin to climbing Everest or, doing
Yeah.
something that's really extreme, you'll still enjoy this experience. It's more the thrill, I think it's sort of a mental thrill of understanding where where we're taking people, where you're exploring if you come with us. And it puts this whole new perspective for travelers into our place in the world, our planet. And I mean, to think about going to the North Pole, the actual North Pole, something of like myth and legend for kids and so, stories for so long, actual North Pole and seeing polar bears there, that is that's wild that we can do that.
Yeah.
So it's really special. We had a trip about a month, almost 2 months ago now, and our itinerary, which I heard about the first time, I thought, wait, we're doing what? We started in Nome, Alaska, and we were going over the top of the globe so it was Nome to Longyearbyen. So over like
Wow.
trans-Arctic crossing. And why not? And we were going to stop at the North Pole, 90 degrees north, and the um, magnetic North Pole. So both the geographic and the magnetic North Pole, which are two slightly different places. Thought that'll be a cool trip, the two North Poles, and again, like real exploration. Well, apparently there are three North Poles. And
What?
there's a, I know, there's a place that was called the Pole of Inaccessibility or the Point of Inaccessibility. And it was called that because it's the place the furthest north and furthest from any land in the Arctic on our planet. And nobody had ever been there before. So it's a point on the, of the GPS. Um, and we thought, well, I guess I say we, like I was there planning. I had no idea this was happening. But our captains thought, well, there's also the point of inaccessibility. Maybe we can go. Well, they did go. So our guests, our travelers who are exploring with us on that
Yeah.
trip, went to the North Pole, to the geographic North Pole, the magnetic North Pole, and they are now in the history books as the first people to ever reach the pole of inaccessibility. So, and they got to like the group got to submit a name for the point for the so this is actual history here. I mean, it's more than signing up for a cruise, but as I said, it's super safe. It's super comfortable. It's extremely responsible. It's such a careful way to travel. So it is really
Okay,
thrilling.
that's bragging rights on
That's
steroids.
right. That's right. If you want bragging rights, you got to go name a point in the Arctic.
So of those 130 staterooms, don't you have some scientists and that
Yeah.
type of? Are they occupying those staterooms, or are they sleeping with the crew?
They take a few of the rooms. It depends on how many scientists we have on board.
Hmm.
So the Charcot, in addition to being a luxury exploration vessel, it's also a year-round environmental research vessel. So we have scientists on board all year long. We knew when we built it that we were going to be able to access places that could not be accessed prior. So we have an obligation to the scientific community to open this experience up, and there's a long list of scientists who are eager to go. So we're doing environmental research. The ship is purposely built to have different laboratories
Right.
on it. So it's not like we added science or we're which is good. Everybody should be doing more science, in my opinion. But this was part of the plan initially. So that's pretty cool. The scientists are usually very eager to share what they're doing because they've been waiting their whole careers to get to these places. So they're pretty excited about getting to do the research. And sometimes, they're taking core samples of ice, or there was some research going on where they were testing ice at the North Pole for microplastics to see like how far have the microplastics. It was not good news. They were there. but it's all very interesting. And so the researchers and scientists, we have to be completely separate from it because we want it to be true hard science that is not at all
Right.
impacted by us or, us trying to sell saying, look, it's a science ship. It actually is independent science. Um, but they're usually very eager to share with our
So
guests.
how do the staterooms on this ship compare with your other ships, for example, size-wise, accommodations, etc.?
Yeah, so Ponant has 13 ships in our fleet, and they're all very new and beautiful. The Charcot is a step above on the luxury, and in order to be a ship strong enough to move through the ice, it had to be a bigger vessel. We did not want to just put more people on it. That's not how we travel. So we kept it to about the same amount of guests as the rest of our fleet. And there's a variety of different staterooms. Some are about the same size as on the rest of our fleet. And then we have some stunning suites. We've got some duplex suites that are 2 levels with just massive terraces, floor to ceiling across 2 levels, windows where you can look out and just see. I mean, imagine being in the Arctic, somewhere so far out, and just looking out on this icy landscape and feeling how far you've come.
Well,
It's absolutely
so when
spectacular.
you think of expedition, you think of most people wouldn't think of luxury, but what you're
Yeah.
telling me is it's as luxurious, if not more so, than the rest of your ships.
Oh, yes, absolutely. It is more luxurious than the rest of our ships. And Ponant's known for luxury. We've been doing this for over 35 years. We've always been right here in this space of luxury expeditions. And even before it became kind of popular, now a lot of the adventure companies are getting more luxurious, and the luxury companies want to get into adventure. And there's space for everybody because it is so fun. But this is what we've been doing for a really long time. The Charcot is a step above. The restaurant on board is an Alain Ducasse restaurant at sea.
Oh,
So
really?
every night is a tasting menu from an Alain Ducasse chef. I mean, it's so good. Yeah. And the inclusions are of course, it's all inclusive, and the wines are fabulous. So the spa is fantastic. The luxury piece is definitely there. Um, I don't think anybody's gonna probably not going to go to the North Pole for the spa, but
Just in case.
in case you're a spa connoisseur and you want to go to a spa in the Arctic, I have one to recommend. It's on the Charcot, but it does make that experience when you're traveling so enjoyable. Yeah, it's lovely.
Okay, so you guys don't just do the polar regions, you do a lot of other things as well. And of course, this ship has to transit from the Arctic to the Antarctic, I'm assuming.
Yep.
And so there's some nice itineraries along the way, in addition to the fact that you just purchased the Paul Gauguin, and she's going into refurbishment right after the first of the year. So tell us about some of the other
Yeah.
things Ponant's doing.
Yeah, so we have a lot to do, and the Charcot we do keep in the polar regions. We'll do the Weddell Sea in Antarctica during our winter. Amazing opportunity to see emperor penguins. So if any birders are listening and they're itching at the idea of needing to see emperor penguins, please call us. We have an itinerary for you. But as you mentioned, we're exploring all over, and I think a lot of people maybe don't know Ponant as a household name. It's because yes, we are exploring all over, but in very small numbers. Our biggest ship is only 132 rooms. Um, that said, we did, as you mentioned, Paul Gauguin Cruises is our sister company, and that actually happened in the beginning of 2019. So it's been a while, although a lot of folks didn't realize that uh, the companies are related. And Paul Gauguin Cruises is something so special in French Polynesia. It's in and around Tahiti all year long. It has been part of the community in French Polynesia for over 30 years.
So we have the
So,
Society Islands, the
mhm,
Marquesas, the Cook Islands.
Tuamotus, yes, and it's so great. And what we hear from our travelers who go on board the Paul Gauguin is, you know, it's it didn't feel like a cruise because the people working on board are from French Polynesia. The ship is there all year long. It's part of the community there. So it's not, it's not a drive-by. We're coming in. Sometimes when we're on a cruise, and I work in cruising, you sell a lot of, you know a lot about cruises. We love them, but sometimes the atmosphere of the ship or the company is the majority of your experience. And then you're disembarking for your cruise excursions and you're getting to go a lot of places. And but on the Paul Gauguin, the atmosphere on board, the atmosphere of the ship, and the entire experience from gangway to gangway is Polynesian. And it really has this wonderful cultural piece that sometimes can be hard to pull off on cruising. Uh, Paul Gauguin, on the Paul Gauguin's done so
So is
well.
she going to look pretty much brand new after she comes out of refurbishment? Are they do an interior refurbishment or is it all below deck?
No, it is, and I can't jump the gun on the press release, Rodney, about what we're doing, but
Come on,
my,
people come here to get the scoop.
when is this launching? My PR person would 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 have a word with me. But yes, it is going to be amazing. We are doing the areas of the ship that the guests are going to see, and so a lot of the outer decks and public spaces are going to look very new and gorgeous. Um, and still celebrating again the French Polynesian piece that the Paul Gauguin is so well known for, with the chic design that Ponant brings to the table.
Now, people ask me all the time, what's my favorite place in the world I've been? And I said, I don't know that I have a favorite place. I can tell you with that beyond a shadow of a doubt that French Polynesia is the most beautiful place that I've ever been in the world. And I would go back there in a heartbeat.
Yeah, me too. It's hard to describe the color of the water
It
there.
is. It is.
Yeah, it
It's so,
feels
I tell
like,
people the water's so blue, it actually hurts your eyes.
yes, it feels so idyllic that it's, when I'm there, I'm thinking, I start to feel anxious. Will I remember this as it actually is? Because
Yeah.
it's like, you know, feels, it's so idyllic. It's amazing. If anybody's listening and they haven't been to French Polynesia and they're a little curious about it, just go. You will not regret it.
But wait until March or April, whenever the ship comes out
Yeah,
of,
yeah.
yeah.
Wait until March. Call us in
Yeah.
March.
And
Mhm.
you want to spend some time, a few nights in an over the water bungalow while you're there. But if you really want to see the Society Islands, and if you have time to do one of the itineraries that goes on to the Cook and the Marquesas, now that's a real trip when you get all three of those
Yeah.
groups of islands put together.
Yeah. The Marquesas in particular, they're so far out. That's a real adventure. And I think sometimes we put French Polynesia into kind of a vacation box in our minds, like it's a
Mhm.
vacation destination, but we don't really remember that there is this amazing, rich, unique culture there, that where we're going is so different than what we're used to. And when you put the Marquesas in, I mean, it's like you feel like a real, like, Indiana Jones level explorer, because it is so visually stunning, and that we get to actually be there and explore is so cool.
Again, steroids come to mind.
Yes, yes.
Okay, we've got about
Hmm.
2 or 3 minutes here. What's new and exciting? What do you got coming that's new and exciting that you can tell us about without getting in any trouble?
We have so much. I'm like, where do I start? So the Charcot, we talked a lot about that, but I think that will continue to make news for some time. We are launching some amazing collections with partners and alliances that are bringing some extra enrichment and themes to what we're offering. So we have a great collection with our Alliance with Smithsonian Journeys, which is the travel component of the Smithsonian Institution. So it's the same amazing Ponant trips and ships, and what Smithsonian is bringing to the table are expert speakers. So if you're interested in really learning about where you're going and you want to travel to understand the world by experiencing it, that would be a great place to start. We have a similar trips coming with the Explorers Club.
Mm-hmm.
So we talked a lot about going places that are so hard to reach. It's something Ponant does very well. So we've got a great collection with the Explorers Club to continue to do research and travel with some real actual explorers. It's very interesting. And then some more themed voyages too. We're looking at culinary, music, world affairs. We have a great itinerary coming out for 2025, which we're calling Confluence of Cultures. It's focused on the world's major religions. So a lot of themes and extra learning is what we're hearing.
That's all. That's brave, putting all those people with different religions on the same.
Well, we're all on planet Earth, I guess. But from more of an academic perspective too, of seeing the history of where this rich part of our culture came from. Yeah.
Well, if anyone in the travel industry has something to offer that's from multiple generations, and we specialize in multi-generational travel, this just might be one of the sweet spots to take your adult children and your grandchildren and venture off to which one of the 3 North Poles. Take your pick.
Choose your North Pole. And actually, that's a really good point, Rodney. We have so many departures with no single supplement. So not on the North Pole, I don't think,
No.
but on so many of our other itineraries and on Paul Gauguin in French Polynesia, we're seeing a lot, as you said, people specialize in multi-gen, or what are they calling it, skip gen, but people want to travel with a parent or a child. We had over 200 departures when I checked last week with no single supplement, meaning somebody can have their own room, the same room we would put 2 people in for the same cost as sharing.
Wow.
Which on a luxury experience where it's all included is a pretty great value for a good exploration.
It really is. Well, we're going to have to wrap this up. I could sit and talk about this all day long.
Me too. Thank you.
But I really want to thank you for being on here, and thank all of you for watching. And think about it. This is a great multi-generational opportunity, or it's great just for you and whoever your traveling companion or companions are. But the one thing you have to understand is that you need to get out there and enjoy yourself, regardless of where it is or what you're doing, because it is truly, truly later than you think. Thank you for tuning in. Bye for now. Ellen, thanks for being here.
Thanks, Rodney.
Thanks for joining us on the Luxury Travelers Podcast. For more information, head on over to luxurytravelerspodcast.com to connect with our team or leave us a message. Until next time, safe travels and savor the extraordinary.